The pandemic has been tough on all of us, especially those that have to battle the virus by going in on a daily basis to work and to continue to live their life as if it was normal. I'm speaking about key workers and essential workers that sacrifice themselves to make sure the rest of us are safe. I'm also talking about individuals that have no other choice but to continue pushing and living their life as if it was normal. Most of the time, these people are spoken about but never spoken to. I am hoping perspective gives them that voice.
Mrs. Boham, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking the time to join me on this wonderful perspective journey. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy and yeah, good. Good.
Oh, that is good. I like how you started with happy because most of the time I have to actually ask people how they're doing. But you seem you're always anyway. You're always in good, wonderful spirits. And first of all, before we even go any further, you're always in very good spirits. How do you keep that going?
Man, I think it's part of it is my personality. I'm a very optimistic person. I always see the, brighter side of life. And I am a bit hyperactive. My colleagues at work call me child mind. They say that the children think I'm their friend. That's why they all love me because they think I'm their friend. They're not sure. Like, they're like, she's big, but she's our friend too.
Yeah, they recognize the peer. They're like, oh my god, that is one. She is one of us. She's definitely one of us. Well, before people start asking, oh, what does Mrs. Boham do? My guest today is Meme Boham, who has 12 years experience in training kids, Montessori kids. So one of the things we grew up in the same town, uh, and there was a school actually called Montessori Primary School. So I actually used to think Montessori was the name of the owner. I had no idea that it was a whole different concept. So what is Montessori?
Okay. So Montessori is I will give you the short answer. Whenever people ask me this question, I always wonder, how do I put a year's worth of training into a 5 minute conversation? It's very, very difficult, but I will try and explain as best as I can. And Montessori it's a method of education, as an educational method, where you have children of different age groups in the same room, and it's kind of like individualistic. So we look at each child, you focus on the child and that child's strength, and you let that child show you how to teach them what methods to use. The thing that is unique about Montessori is the materials. So Maria Montessori, who's the founder, she created some kind of materials to help the children learn different abstract concepts. So she has different materials to teach math, and different things in math. And then there's different stages. She also has some things to teach them literacy, some things to teach different materials that she created, knowing that the child learns from using their hands and all of that. So she's created materials to help the children with that sensorial exploration so that the learning stays ingrained in them.
This is so. I mean, that right there is an Avenger skill because, as far as I'm concerned, how do you? So because it's just you and the kids, but then you still have to find a way to tailor your teaching process to each individual child there, and you do this every day, Monday to
Yep.
Friday,
Yep.
and you're still as positive and
The key to it is the environment. That's just the truth. The key to it is the environment. If you've prepared your environment well enough that the children know what's expected of them, they know what to choose, and they know how to work with it. So a lot of the things is them just choosing their stuff, doing it, and then you just come in every now and then when they need support. So that's basically.
that is nice spoken. That is, I'm still baffled here. I need to. I mean, I was because looking back at my time, I was a terrible child to teach. So I'm really trying to understand how Montessori would have helped me. Well, maybe it would have helped me knowing that I actually meant a learning structure instead of thinking it was the owner of the school. But well, we shall see. We shall see. So I mean, as long as you play it very positively and this obviously you can see the passion, this is something you really love to do. But during normal times or when things were defined as normal, I take it as this can be very energy draining. I take it it's a lot to stay upbeat every day, especially dealing with young children. So
Mm.
how did what keeps you positive? What is that inspiration that you have that keeps you going?
I think it's the children for me, it's the children. To be fair, the only times that I get stressed out or anxious and everything is if maybe there's a rift or communication is not clear with my colleagues at work. To be fair, that's the only time, because with the children, if you're every child comes with their own personality. It's always fun to watch. So when I'm in my classroom, sometimes I feel like a scientist, like I'm just looking at the children and what they're doing. And I'm like, oh, okay, this child, maybe if I use this game, I can get them to learn this math that they're struggling with. So it's always very exciting. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, this child, what's this child telling me? What can I do with this child? It's always so exciting. But when you have a plan and you're like, oh, I'm going to do this with this child, and then another teacher takes the child and they're doing something else, and it's like, oh, I didn't communicate to that person, and then you communicate to them and they don't get what you're saying, that's when there is now some friction. And then that's when, and for me, I always try and make sure that my mood is 100 like top notch, because I know that the children, they sense your emotions. So a lot of times I would just leave the classroom just 5 minutes, get myself back and then come back in. So I always just try different things. I'm a very spiritual person, so I'm constantly, even when I'm in my classroom with a child, seeing something that they're struggling with, just say a little prayer and just leave the class to just meditate and really reflect on what I'm doing. So I think that that's part of the reason why I'm the way I am, because of, that spiritual connection as well.
That's good. So, with the fact that you have to tailor your learning based on the child, does that automatically create progression for you in your career? Because you're never going to get the same concept or the same
Exactly.
child every day. It's just
No,
so every year when you change classes, you just go, okay, definitely, I'm going to meet something. So, with 12 years experience, would you say you have seen it all, or would you say it just
no,
keeps evolving?
no, you never see it all. You never see it all. You see some resemblances, like you see some similarities, but you never see it all. You never see it all. And I remember always thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I could never work in the corporate world. Like I could never do anything that was monotonous. So for me, just going to the classroom every day, and then for in my own classroom where the children don't come in every day. Some children come Monday to Wednesday. Some children come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So every day there's a different child. And then you see one child that comes on Monday never gets to see her friend until Thursday. So you see how she acts on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And when her friend comes on Thursday, you see a different side to her. Like, it's so exciting what I do. Honestly, I love it.
I swear, the description, it makes me think maybe I should do it, but nah, 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 nah. No, 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 not for me, man. Not for me. I would probably end up, getting into arguments with the child about their snack and that kind of stuff. It's difficult for me. So you don't seem teaching usually is cast in all types of shadows. I mean, it's at some point there is great gratitude, appreciation for the profession. At some point, oh my God, they're not doing enough, blah blah. I categorize teaching as something you do based on love, passion, which you clearly have. How has the pandemic put a dent? I mean, you don't seem like you can be affected negatively at all, but how has the pandemic actually put a dent in your profession, in yourself, and in how you're actually relating to the kids?
Do you know what? If anything, I think that it kind of made parents, I mean, for instance, nurseries, we're the only ones open. Primary schools, they're not. The teachers are not going in. Secondary schools, teachers are not going in, children are going in. But the nursery is, because our age group are the age group that needs the most adult, like support. So obviously the parents won't be able to work as much with that age group at home. So I'm like, so now they need us. They need us. So I'm there that they need us, but they won't pay us. We're still the least paid. So the truth is, people like us have to do it for passion, because I mean, do you know what I mean? So
There has
if
to be
there's
a balance
anything,
there. There has to be a balance. I mean, there has to be a
oh,
balance
yeah,
in the sense
yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah, we know.
And that's what the pandemic has done. The pandemic has made teachers realize that, okay, actually, I don't have to put up with this. I can go and create my own thing. I can do more, I can show people how important what we do is. Because I'm like, people don't realize that this early years is the most important time in the child's life. That's when they're building and developing every part of their personality. And yet people don't understand how important it is. They don't pay the teachers. Teachers are not even like, our training is seen as, they don't value what we do, but the pandemic is making them realize that actually, but I think that on the flip side, it's making them say, how do you handle 5 or 20 of these? I can't even handle my one. But I'm like, it's way bigger than that though. It's not just about handling 20. It's about how important that age group is. And that's what I want parents to understand and people to understand during this time,
There's a thing that I've come to realize. A lot of parents, or some parents, actually, they have of the impression that once you drop the kid at school, you are raising the kid, not only teaching, you are raising the kid. And the one thing I'm pretty certain that this times has actually put some light on is a lot of parents now know how difficult it is, how difficult your job is. And one of the things that you touched on there was you are teaching a group that this early years lays the foundation. So would you say, other than the parents, you are very key to the child's concept and perspective on how they see things?
Definitely, definitely. The parents first, though, because like you can never take away the love that the child has for the parents, So the parents first before us. Us, there is that my teacher, but the parents, man, like the children in my class, no matter how much they love me and they go, meme, as soon as they see mommy and daddy, it's mommy, daddy. So the parents first. That's why I always try and let parents know how much of a role and responsibility they have in the child's life. When they drop the children off with us, we're just with them for that period, and we do our best. And that's why it's a partnership. And we have to let the parents say, okay, this is what we're doing. I've noticed this about this child, this is what we're doing here. You have to be doing the same thing at home so that we can get the child to, come out of that area that they're struggling with.
So would you say, in your profession generally, what support do you think you need to keep moving forward? And by support, I mean, say the government. And okay, let's start with the government. What support do you need from the government?
Man,
Especially,
I don't know
especially at
anything about.
especially at this pandemic time.
I know what support I need for myself. I don't really get into, government and all of that. I just do my own thing, build my own thing, and I listen, but I'm gonna save that one for later. I don't really have nothing I need from the government right now.
All right, but you remember you're a voice speaking for not just yourself, for a lot of people that want to be like you and continue to keep that fire and passion going in teaching, and of course for your colleagues. But it's fine. We'll leave the government alone for now. Alone for now. But what support do you think you need from the parents?
From the parents, I just need us to be on the same page. To be fair, for the government too, I would like people to understand how important and how valuable what we do is, and to pay more attention. The nursery is not just a place to dump the children because you don't know what else to do with them. Just leave them at nursery. Oh my gosh, they need to run around. They need to go to nursery. I feel like they need to understand how important our role is in that time in the child's life. Everything that they learn, the beginning of their life, that's where it starts. That's where we develop everything. Every first foundation of their development is in the early years. So we have to get it right at that age. I wish they would realize how important it was. I think they would spend more time with like teacher training and making sure that we have all the skills. Because truth is, even teachers who, for instance, when you think people are like, oh, what job can I do? And like, nursery is the easiest thing. The teacher, the adult, maybe they never really wanted to become a teacher, but you need to earn some money. Well, I have worked with children with the football coach I was working with in that nursery last year. I'll just go and work in a nursery. So they go into a nursery and they think it's just about running around with the children. And you hear the adults like, the words that come out, the things they're saying to the children, I'm like, oh my gosh, do you not realize that everything the child learns is by watching you? What you're saying, the way you are handling yourself socially, that's where they're learning their social development from. The way you're handling yourself, that's what everything you're doing, they're just a sponge. They're soaking it up. You know, you hear a child say something like, you're so naughty, so naughty. The child, they don't know. That's not who I know I am. Okay, I'm naughty. I trust my teacher. If my teacher says I'm naughty, then I'm naughty. Then you see the child acting out and you're like, that's what I said. I said you were naughty, but you put that on that child. You know, so I'm like, even the grown-ups that come in and they're like, oh, I want to become, they don't really understand. There needs to be more training for, you know, nursery teachers, for us to understand the value of what we do and really develop the skills to do it properly, you know?
Well, calling on all you parents out there, I hope you've heard that, because it could not be explained any better. Any better. So I always ask every parent this. You're very passionate for your work, your kids. You're a mother of one, a nice, handsome, green lad. And how do you, with this positive energy and passion, how do you maintain that wonderful balance at home with the husband and your kid?
Yep. Oh my gosh. In the beginning, it was so hard, you know, because I had to leave my job when I was, before we moved back to England in Nigeria, I was working in school. I was working like, oh my gosh, I don't even know, the hours were crazy. And with Lagos traffic, I would get home sometimes at 8 p.m., you know, and I would look at my son sleeping in the back seat and take him in and just try and wake him up so he would eat something and then he would go to bed. And one day I just asked myself, what am I doing with my life? I'm just giving all of this energy because I am a passionate person. I would go to work with that passion and everything. And I'm like, I'm giving all of this to these children and look at mine, you know, look at him. So I quit my job and I homeschooled my son and homeschooled him for a year. And then I now had to learn to create a balance, you know, a balance of knowing what hours I was able to work and being able to give to my family, give of myself, this passion to the family as well as, you know, to my work. So I had to learn to leave work at work because I used to take work home a lot. I would bring the children to my house in my heart, bring my paperwork to my house, everything because of passion. So I had to learn to leave work at work, come home, that's your family, be with your family, you know, and spend time just doing lovely things that we do now.
That nice, nice. You should. I'm sure eventually you will write a book. Just make sure it comes out in audibles as well, because people like us, our Montessori structure has to be somebody talking to us, looking at the words. So with all the wonderful balance and all the wonderful things that you do with all the energy, you still have time to have your own YouTube show for children with games. And with the pandemic, it actually made you move things even more. So, talk to me a bit about that. What does your show aim to do? And now that it's gone online, and you're going to continue to create content for children. Um, Seriously, how many hours a day do you have? Because you seem like you have at least 90.
It's the hyper, it's the energy, honestly, it's the energy. I can't stop. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's a problem.
Please don't stop, man. You're inspiring the rest of us and keeping us going. So,
But seriously, like the show for children, I started it last year when the pandemic hit. You know, like our classrooms were empty. We had just like 7 children coming in, key worker children at the time. And my colleague, I started recording videos for the children at home. And my colleague would be like, Meme, these videos you do on YouTube, because I was doing hair and just chatting on my YouTube channel. She's like, why don't you do this thing you do for children? Why don't you put up videos for children? And I'm like, actually, I never thought about that. She's like, yeah, oh, it would be amazing. So that's how I started making it. And then they hit, people loved them. You know, they would send me videos of their children watching my videos. And yeah, that's how Game Songs and Stories started. And then before you knew it, my business partner is like, listen, we have to start Zoom classes. Like your videos and what you do, you know, in your classroom, we need to put it together and create education for children who can't afford to go into nursery, you know, for children within the age that you teach to come and have this experience. And we had our first Zoom class on Saturday. Oh my gosh, JJ, when I tell you, like, we had people from Canada, we had people from America, we had people from the UAE, we had people from, it was, oh my God, I just kept on saying, oh, look at these children, and it was so fun. I would tell them, okay, you go and do this. And for me, it was like, I want to hear every child's voice. I don't want it to be a Zoom session about me. I want to hear every child's voice. I want to talk to every child. I want to know what they're thinking. I want to know how they learn, and this is it. This is a new journey combining the two things that I love, and that's what we're doing now,
You see, what I like to hear. One of the reasons of course, the aim of perspective is always to get a voice of how things are affecting people, and it's amazing how you have taken everything positively and making strides moving forward, which is, trust me, I'm a big fan. The only thing I can ask or beg you to do is you need to create something for the rest of us adults to continue to keep this energy. Zoom sessions, I don't know what you would do. If you want to add whiskey in it, I'm happy. You just do. You have to do something to to steer us in this wonderful direction and positive energy. Do not stop being who you are, Mrs. Boham. Do not stop being who you are. I mean, I've always been a fan, and now
like
you've made it worse, man. I'm just gonna be asking you, can I jump on your YouTube show? I mean, I know I'm over age, but yeah, let me just get in there. Let me just get in there. You also have a workout video that you do. You're nice on your dancing, so you have a workout video you do on Saturdays in the morning. I mean, it's very
just
early for me.
once a month, please. Just
Once a
once
month.
a month.
Oh,
First
okay.
Saturday of the month. Just
We
that.
want 2, 3, 4 times a month, man. You need to. I mean,
I
you're
was
not.
saying to myself, yeah, I'll do this every Saturday. And then I looked at myself and I remember, what's wrong with you? Eh?
You remember they're actually human. You remember they're actually human. I like it. I like it. Well, good luck on your journey. It's wonderful to see you're taking everything nicely, even in this pandemic times. You've taken opportunity as it has come to you, and you're not one of those that went, even with your profession being in casting negative shadows. Sometimes you're taking the positives out of it. And do you actually get worried? I mean, people talk about how children are carriers for the COVID and all that. How much does that worry you going into work every day?
Yeah. In the beginning, it was really bad. Like I didn't even want to go in, when it just started. But I was in a really bad space. You believe you me, like I was not. You can ask my family. Like I was just the shadow of myself when the pandemic hit because I just couldn't understand what was happening. Um, but you know what? What helped me was I said to myself, I'm like, okay, now, these children, yes, they are carriers, you know. I'm going to believe that their parents are doing what they're supposed to do by staying indoors, and just being safe. And then I'm going to be safe by making sure that I'm sterilizing, that I'm cleaning, that I'm washing my hands, that I'm washing the children's hands, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But at the end of the day, if the children have to come to us, we have to be there, we have to be alert. So this emotion that I'm having, I have to find a way to get out of this downer because that's not what the children need. It's better for me to just be at home than to be there and not give all of myself. So I just, had to do that work. I think it took me about a month to just work on that down feeling, which is understandable considering what was happening, but I just had to spend time with myself, just praying and changing my perspective, changing my perspective, and realizing they are there, they're coming, and even when, the second lockdown and they said nurseries still had to be open, it was easier because I'd experienced it the first time. So I'm like, all right, remember, perspective. They are coming in. The children are coming in. They are carriers. So you better make sure that the parents are wearing their face masks and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Constantly remind them, I hope you guys are keeping safe. Hope you're staying safe. The children come in, they wash their hands. We wash our hands. We're sterilizing, making sure that everything is safe, social distancing, staying in our bubbles, doing the things that we have to do. And ultimately praying because, I'm like, God, I'm out here working. You got to protect us, please. So that's how I've stayed.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Mema. Thank you for having me in your 90 hours a day life.
Thank you for
And
having
my biggest worry has always been people who tend to lose passion and all that for their profession, especially with the way the pandemic has hit. For you, an example of how people should keep going. Thank you for having me, and speak to you soon.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Martins.